That's what I like to see. Pockets getting hit hard, bro. Hard. Because somebody need to hold these players accountable for the stupidity they have been.
And tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now, here's the kicker to me. A flagrant 2 has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. DiJonai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it. What the heck?
It states here, Reebok is reportedly dropping their endorsement for DiJonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Let's go.
DiJonai Carrington could be losing the one thing that was actually going her way this season. And, by the sound of it, she is only herself to blame for how quickly it's slipping away. This isn't some slow, quiet fade either. This is the kind of collapse that happens in real time, in front of cameras, in front of millions of people scrolling their phones. And it all goes back to a handful of decisions she made on the court over the course of a single week.
Here, Reebok is reportedly dropping their endorsement for DiJonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Okay, and a bunch of people are saying this is true. You know, I don't know, but here it says, perfect. Good job, Reebok, for having a morals clause in her contract and enforcing it by pulling it. Carrington is a bully that the league apparently is protecting. Wake up, WNBA, before someone really gets hurt. You'll get sued because we Americans won't stand for this abuse. Do you?
Word is spreading that Reebok is quietly considering cutting ties with Carrington, and the name being floated to replace her on the roster of endorsed athletes isn't some random rookie nobody has heard of. It's Sophie Cunningham. Yes, Sophie Cunningham, the same player Carrington has spent the last week fouling like she owes her money. If this is actually true, music, it's one of the wildest turnarounds you'll see in sports marketing this year, because a few months ago, nobody would have guessed these two names would end up tangled together in a shoe deal story, let alone on opposite ends of a controversy that's now threatening one of their careers financially.
It is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant 2, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant 2. There is wind up, there is follow through, there's potential for injury.
Without
Sophie
question.
Cunningham in a vulnerable position in the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question.
WNBA player DiJonai Carrington of the Chicago Sky was ejected after a flagrant 2 foul on Sophie Cunningham in last night's WNBA game. As you saw from the video, Sophie was going for a fast break layup when DiJonai decided it would be a good idea to go after her head instead of the ball. So that obviously prompted the flagrant 2. The referees take a look at it and she was ejected, and a lot of people are calling for her suspension after.
Here's how we got here. Reebok signed Carrington some time ago hoping she'd become one of the faces of their basketball line. Someone with personality, someone people would want to root for, both on the floor and off it. That's the whole point of an endorsement deal. A brand isn't just paying for your jump shot. They're paying for the way you make people feel when they see your name on a box in a store, or an ad running before their favorite video. And lately, the way DiJonai Carrington has made people feel hasn't exactly been warm and fuzzy. It's been the opposite, and brands notice that shift a lot faster than most fans realize.
Because of the timeline of everything, and because of, if you want to call it the jealous nature, the legitimate hatred for somebody because of what they believe in and because of what they look like and because of how popular they are, I could say it's a targeted attack.
Yeah, oh, clearly. I mean, I think most people believe that.
But then on top of that, you know, it's not only white privilege she puts out there. She puts the next, in our next post, she puts the game date of the next time they're going to play the Fever.
Yep.
I mean, that's almost like, it feels to me.
In the span of just 1 week, Carrington picked up 3 separate fouls that had people rewinding the footage just to make sure they'd seen it right the first time. Not hustle fouls. Not the kind of contact you shrug off as two competitors battling for position in a physical league. These were the kind of plays that make analysts go quiet for a second before they even know what to say about them on air. And every single one of them somehow found its way to Sophie Cunningham, which is exactly the kind of coincidence that stops looking like a coincidence after the 3rd time it happens within the same handful of days.
With another signature move, yet again, versus the Valks tonight.
And then she put both hands up.
Damn! What is she doing with her left hand? Look at her left hand. Just boom. Let me just poke you in the eye real quick. What is this goofball, uncoordinated individual doing, poking somebody in the eye with their hands up? Hands up. Dude, this is so bad. Hands up. Swipe for the ball with our right hand. while poking the player in the eye with the left hand. You really can't make this.
Now look, physical basketball isn't anything new. Nobody's asking players to go soft out there, and toughness has always been part of what makes this league entertaining to watch. But there's a difference between playing tough and playing recklessly. And a lot of people watching these clips felt like Carrington crossed that line more than once within a matter of days. That's not a one-off bad night you simply brush off after sleeping on it. That's a pattern. And patterns are exactly the kind of thing a brand's marketing team pays very close attention to when they're deciding who gets to keep wearing the logo on national television.
Decided to post from the locker room on Threads saying white privilege. Cunningham herself admitted that she's been ejected for the exact same thing before and deserved it. Yet that card got played in seconds before the ejection even cooled off. Now, a sitting state attorney general just told an entire professional league that he will treat their hardest fouls as criminal assault. Florida doesn't even have a WNBA team. This is literally a warning, not a jurisdiction, people. You fucking clotheslined her. And I would be saying this about anybody, regardless of what the fuck they look like. Literally, right when the WNBA was really starting to become...
And then came the interview that turned a basketball story into something much bigger than basketball. After being called out for the contact, Carrington didn't exactly de-escalate things the way most players in her position would. Instead of simply owning the play and moving on, she brought up the phrase white privilege while talking about Cunningham, which took a conversation about a physical foul and turned it into a conversation about intent, motive, and everything else that comes bundled up in a phrase that carries weight once it's said out loud in front of reporters. Whether you think that comment was fair or not, whether you think it was even remotely connected to what actually happened on the floor, one thing is true: it changed the entire tone of the story overnight, and not in a way that helped her case with anyone watching from the outside.
She's gonna do, she didn't see the clip. You know what, DiJonai, she is a hell of a player. She's a great defender, and so she coached her for I don't know how many years up in Connecticut. So give her flowers, and she didn't see it, and that's okay. Me and Steph are great. Steph is great with all of us, and so it's really the outside noise that's trying to distract.
And through all of it, Cunningham hasn't really thrown a single punch back, at least not with her words. She's mostly just kept playing, kept showing up, and let her performance answer for her the same way she's handled plenty of noise around her this season already. That contrast is exactly why so many people online started asking why one player gets painted as the difficult one, while the other gets praised for staying composed, even when she's the one absorbing the hits night after night. It's a simple visual, really. One player getting hit and staying quiet. One player throwing the hits and getting loud about it afterward. People notice which one of those looks better on camera, and brands notice it even faster than the fans do. And social media did not sit quietly on any of this. One tweet that picked up serious traction read, "Reebok still has DiJonai Carrington on an endorsement deal after she cheap shot Sophie Cunningham and screams white privilege. That's not an athlete. That's a liability. Drop her, or America drops you. That's not a soft take. That's somebody drawing a hard line and daring the brand to pick a side. And, judging by the replies underneath it, a lot of people agreed with every single word. Quote tweets started piling up, with people sharing their own receipts from earlier games, old clips resurfacing, screenshots of past comments, all of it getting stitched together into one bigger case against her staying on the brand's roster at all.
Carrington is on the brink of being dropped by Reebok, and let me tell you what, man, this is not good for DiJonai Carrington at all. And then you have this going on as well. Thousands demand Reebok drop DiJonai Carrington after brutal attack on Sophie Cunningham. Hold her accountable. I firmly support Reebok dropping DiJonai Carrington's endorsement. Okay, so a lot of people are, getting behind this thing, and DiJonai Carrington is on the brink of potentially losing millions of dollars with sponsorship. Here it says breaking thousands of people are calling Reebok to drop. This thing is everywhere, man. This thing is everywhere.
That's the kind of headline brands dread seeing attached to their name. Because it's not just fans venting for a day and forgetting about it by the weekend, it's turning into an actual movement, with people openly saying they'll stop buying Reebok products entirely as long as Carrington stays on the roster of endorsed athletes. When customers start threatening a boycott over one athlete's behavior, that's the moment a marketing department stops debating internally and starts scrambling for a solution. Because lost sales are a lot harder to explain away in a quarterly earnings call than a bad foul is to explain away on a highlight show the next morning.